Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me to be here. In addition to my role in the University of Maryland, I also work a lot in Europe. I work in the Royal Institute of Technology in Sweden and in Munich. And I have visited and worked with almost 12 countries in exactly this very topic. So I'll try to make some key points. First of all, I have been involved in about 4 startups, and I learned several things through that. We all learn. So the first important thing is you cannot just sell brain power. You have to sell products. You have to have a product. Second thing is that you need marketing. Just whatever technology protection you have or whatever is not enough. I learned also that you need luck. I was involved with a startup on internet over satellite, and when we were ready to raise $60 million, the internet market collapsed, and then we did not get the funding. When we actually did the internet over satellite, we invented it in Maryland. There was a different story. It was more along the points you made. We teamed up with a large company like Houston Network Systems. They had the market, so we were able to go very quickly from invention to something that we were called all kinds of names in newspapers as far as being impossible. We did it. If you ever fly with Lufthansa on the back end, they show you the antennas that they actually use the internet over satellite, and you can use it. That's due to what we did. So you actually need luck, and you need this development and marketing. Currently, I'm involved in a startup that does security. And you say, well, everybody needs security, so why is it not successful yet? Because there's a very big problem in raising money for security, and the big problem is young people care more about the connectivity rather than the security in these devices. So now I want to turn into some of the topics that they were discussed and try to give you my points. Yes, government is important. Invention is not innovation. There's a big trip to go from invention to innovation. And in the US and around the world, we have tried to do at least systems. These are called competence centers, or the building of total innovation systems which are regional and around a center, a university, or a research center. So let me give you some examples. We are moving now to a new world economy, which is called the information technology and the information knowledge economy. At the same time, we have a lot of products of ICT that allow us to connect no matter where we are in the world. And that actually is a benefit that you can turn around with the proper conditions for innovation. And they are transforming economies and many other things. So universities can play a very big important role. I have seen many good examples, as I have seen national labs. Many of you may not know that INRIA in France has created more than 30 companies that they have become very successful, and they have gone to IPOs of more than $120 million. So universities and national labs working together with companies that can create the innovation culture that you need to start companies, and I have benefited from that. The work I did over the internet over satellite, as you will see at the end of my few minutes, was actually helped with such a center that we have in the University of Maryland. Now, industry can play a big role, both in terms of helping small companies and also investing themselves, or even some companies in the US, they start startups because they know that innovation is cheaper in a small company and faster than in a big company where things tend to be much more difficult. Now, we have many tools to do. First of all, as many have already said, we have to get kids involved in innovation, make them part of the so-called maker society. We have to get experiences for undergraduates. We have to go away from traditional education to more what we call in the US hands-on courses. Get into the projects, make something, not just talk about it. We have to get the universities involved in lifelong learning, which is very important for innovation, to include everything, everybody in the population, not just those that are involved with R&D. And there have been some successful examples. We have tried here in Greece to emulate them. We haven't, but they have been very successful throughout Europe. The premier example started in '84 in the US with the so-called engineering research centers, where they tried to completely change the way we do engineering by bringing collaboration and industry together with the academics, and that was tremendously successful. It was emulated in Sweden, Austria, France, and many other countries that I have been able to help them with some advice. And the key characteristics that I want to emphasize are the funding is three-way. A government funds something, a local government, a federal government, if you like, and some outside entity, and industry gets the funding. They systematically have to involve SMEs, not large companies, so that you can try to get the innovation path going. And then you have to link pre-competitive research to products. Now, the lessons we learn is that quite often in the innovation, it's very important to understand the characteristics of a region and get them involved so they can get their funding in. And that's important for European countries because they're not very big countries. Second, you have to have IP rules, as already said. And as my good friend from the CTO from Lockheed Martin used to say, is you have to understand that innovation is not invention. There have been a lot of inventions that they just collect dust because they have never been able to become products or innovations. So it's critical to help by creating these total innovation systems which involve education. I mean, nobody gets to be a researcher by just was born, okay? You have to be trained. The same way you have to be trained to be an entrepreneur. So you have to get into this culture, understand what it takes, take risks, get to go to boot camps that we have in Maryland for entrepreneurs, understand how to raise capital, not from venture capitals only, but from angel funding and companies and so on and so forth, okay? Now, with respect to Greece, I have some recommendations which I have made before. As many said already, we have high quality human capital. We have a lot of R&D nests of excellence here in Europe, and they attract EU funding. We have an international network of Greek Americans and Greek Europeans and whatever all over the world that can be a linkage. In Sweden, for us, there is an agency that's called Vinnova, that its sole purpose is exactly innovation in various universities and so on and so forth. Can anything like that be created here? I haven't seen it. There is, I think, an administrative mistake in Greece where the General Secretariat for Research and Development is under education and should be under development. This should be changing. And as people said before, the competence towards innovation doesn't have to be just in engineering. It can be in agriculture, it can be like in tourism, it was just described, it can be in healthcare, it can be managing fisheries and many other things. The last point I want to make is that in many universities in Sweden and in Germany, there are so-called total innovation systems. They provide even seed capital, they provide linkage to the outside world, they provide incubators and accelerators. And in Greece, this has been happening, but the young people try it alone, but the infrastructure is not here, and this has to be created. And let me close by saying that the more advanced countries, as I said in the previous section, they could help by actually making some of the work stay in Greece with the excellent talent you have in Greece, like we have in regions in the US, so that you don't drain the people out of the region. And I made this proposal to Germany to create a Fraunhofer Institute here. We'll see if it happens. And we also try to get a 3 countries program between Germany, Sweden, and Greece to try to get high school kids through the premier apprenticeship program of Germany to understand making and get involved in this. Our institute in Maryland, you can look at it to see how many programs it has.
Please sum up as well.
Yes, it's called MTech. I want to say that to create this institute, so that we understand the difficulty, took 25 years. So the path of creating an innovation infrastructure that produces good results is not easy, and it's challenging for anybody, and it's not going to happen tomorrow. So you need the infrastructure, you need to think like that. And I will also recommend a very good study from the Swedish Academy of Engineering, of which I'm a member, which studied specifically small countries and small economies and how they evolve their innovation program. And a lot of lessons can be learned by these 2 examples. Thank you very much.